I see. Yes. Welcome to the Trampled Underfoot Podcast live. I see Frankie CNC and Woodworking channel out there saying that it's the second Tuesday this week. Awesome. Yes, it is, Frankie. You slept for 2 days, then you slept for another 6. So it's the second Tuesday of the week. All those people who said that there were going to be free beer the second Tuesday of the week, today's the day. Bust out that free beer. You owe people. You promised them.
Yeah, we have there's these. I've been watching these funny video type things that they like, people fail and all that stuff that we've all seen. And there's one where they're sitting at the news table, some anchors and stuff, and some and they have this app on their iPads or whatever, and it's smell-o-vision style, and the lady is gullible, and she it's like a beer filling up on the actual pad, the screen.
Yeah.
And they said, oh yeah, and you can smell it because it's smello whatever. And she comes up and she's smelling it and stuff. And she's smelling it.
Jeez. I fell down a similar rabbit hole the other day. I keep telling people, you want some entertainment, look up Russian dash cam. Well, I haven't done that in probably a year and a half. I've been going down the police pursuit and Russian dash cam videos here last, oh gosh, several weeks anyway. And I'm about done. I'm about finished with it. So, that's about over with, thankfully. But you want some entertainment, just look up Russian dash cam. I mean, the way those people drive over there, it's amazing that folks survive, because you've got it's almost like the lines in the road don't exist. They really don't. They just don't care. They try to shove as many vehicles as possible into an open space.
Well, the funny thing about those videos is that, and this is the shocking part, that they have no board, like there's no sort of pause. If somebody's riding another person's butt, you'll see the car stop and a guy comes out the door of the driver's seat, but they come out with like a bat or a gun. Like there's no in between. There's like from 0 to 11. They come out and they start whacking the car. And it's like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got it where the roadway, you've got a line of trees or a bridge or something like that where you have to get into lanes. They try to, 4 of them trying to occupy that same space within that lane at the same time. And if they bump, they just shut everything down right there in the middle of the road and get out, like you said, with a baseball bat or what have you, and just start swinging. It's insanity, man.
I mean, it's like, it's just, so I can understand, like I get teed off when I go just to Publix, or whatever. I get teed off when I stop like I'm waiting to turn left and into my road, and it's a main road here on 107th, and the red light will turn red, and then the cars will start to, pack up and park, and they're supposed to leave a space so that you can turn left,
right,
into the they never do. So what I've started doing for the past 2-3 years actually is that I put my blinker, I extend my hand, and I'm like with my 2 fingers going like that, pointing in the direction I want to go, and I'm doing that, and like all that signals the people, and then you'll see them. Sometimes they stop with enough space, other times you have to sort of like zigzag
through. Yeah.
But they're in their own world.
Yeah, it's craziness, man. That's why I get out there on the green. If I got to turn left, I'm in the middle of the intersection on the green, because I figure that's what the yellow's for, is for people to turn left. 3 cars turn left when the light goes yellow. 3 cars get their wheels past the crosswalk, so when the light goes yellow, you can turn left and everybody's good. That's how it's supposed to work in modern civilization. That and stop signs. You come up to a stop sign, you come to a stop, and then you look over at the other car at the other stop sign. Make eye contact with them so everybody knows we're all in the same world here.
Yeah.
Then whoever got there first goes. But, It's
Yeah.
just that's the way life in a civilized society is supposed to be. But you can throw all that out the window in Russia, man. They just go
Oh yeah.
crazy. They just go nuts. It's funny. There's a guy over there. They call him the Punisher. I've mentioned him before. I know I have. I must have. He's a bus driver, and he's been in over 100 accidents, and not one of them has he been at fault.
Oh
Not
wow.
one. Just people trying to turn left in front of him, or people getting up in front of him and slamming on their brakes, or people getting right up next to him off the shoulder of the road, and he turns into the bus stop, and they have no choice. They go right along with him. So
Insane.
it's
Well,
craziness.
there's a video out there. I'm gonna try to find it
Mhm.
where it's a scene that is as surreal as you can possibly imagine. By no stretch, I'm not stretching the truth of it, and it's in Miami,
Mhm.
and it's just I could since I live here, I could point and say totally Miami. So the scene is an intersection in downtown Miami where a car has run into another car, and it's in an intersection, and it starts to want to back up. The one that caused the accident, the lady that's the victim of the accident, is saying stop, 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 and like in front of the car's backing up, and then another guy randomly just goes in to help, and he says, "Get out of the car! This, and that." And then they're honking because they're blocking the road and all the intersection. Well, the car that caused the accident manages to get around and turns right, and then gets stuck in traffic right there in that same intersection. And then the lady's following, screaming. A guy from the opposite side in a van stops without even he stops. The door opens and he comes out with a freaking what you call hammer, or not a hammer, like a sledge.
Mhm.
He comes out with a sledge and he says stop, and the car is there. He starts smashing the windows with the sledgehammer, and it unfolds. It's like a 7 to 8 minute video of total insanity, dude.
mob chaos because this guy's trying to hit and run.
Yeah,
Wow. Vigilante justice, huh?
dude, it is insane, and I think it's one of the top classic sort of that type of situation.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I've not seen anything like that, but police chases and things like that, and the high speed pursuits where the guy rolls the car or something stupid like that. They usually get what they deserve in the end, but everybody's innocent till proven guilty, so I can't say that. But
well,
you know the deal.
one time I was on the corner of 109th
Mhm.
going. I guess I ended up turning left, so I was going down Flagler, and I stop, and the light changes, and then a car in front of me starts to turn left. A guy in the bicycle was clear, like there was going to be no issue with that car that was turning left and that bicycle guy.
Mhm.
The bicycle guy runs straight into the car on purpose, drops the bike and falls on the floor, acting like he's injured. And I'm coming right behind. I stop, and he gets up and he's like, and he says, "You see? Call the police. You see?" And I go like this. No, 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 buddy. Get out of the road. You're the one. And he's trying, but when he realized I wasn't going for it, and
Mhm.
the lady was freaked out in the car. She didn't even know that he was doing that. She
Yeah.
thought, honest to goodness, that no,
Yeah.
he totally went into her on
Yeah.
purpose.
Yep.
So,
And that's why dash cam. That's why everybody in Russia has a dash cam, because it was insurance fraud city over there. And some of them, if you watch the footage on YouTube, it's pathetic and hilarious at the same time, because you'll watch a guy who is stopped at a red light. And he's stopped. He's been stopped for a minute and a half. And somebody will come walking into camera view in front of his car and then just kind of lay over on the hood of the car and fall
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me? Didn't nobody hit you? Get up and get out of the street.
Oh yeah, at China, there's
Mhm.
videos of China where there's an old lady. She comes up in front of a like a bus,
Uh-huh.
and like a public bus or whatever. And
Mhm.
she comes up to it, bumps the bumper. Like she's just what there's no. She comes up to the bumper and bumps it like that triggers the event, and
Mhm.
then she falls down on the. And then she realizes as she's fallen that she's not quite. She doesn't. She's not comfortable in the position she's at. That it makes it more effective. So she scoots her butt closer under the tire,
Uh-huh.
as if and it was all caught on tape, dude.
Yeah, well, so everybody over there has a dash cam, and as a matter of fact, there's a bunch of them from the U.S. too, but not nearly as crazy as Russia. But it got me looking into getting a dash cam,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm shocked at how cheap they are. They really are. They're like 30-40 bucks.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking seriously about getting one. I mean, I've not come across anything that goofy yet or anything that flagrant, but I've seen some goofy things on the road. I only wish I'd have had one when I was driving a route with the slot machine company I worked for down in Nevada, because I mean, I saw some goofy stuff. I got hit 4 times in that job, and it was, none of them were my fault. But it was you see some strange things if you spend a lot of time on the road. But I'm thinking about getting one. So who knows? Maybe I'll have Mark's dash cam channel.
Hey, I have a different, an extra added issue with my vehicle, where it's it's been through a lot, and I'll be driving down the road, and sometimes I'll try to drop the one window or the other, and it'll decide whether or not it wants to do so. So I'll go a week without being able to drop the passenger side.
Mhm.
And sometimes the airbag light comes on. I've told you that one time I was at Home Depot, and the airbag light was on, and I was backing out of the parking lot, and I hit one of the carts from Home Depot, and then the light turned off. And it's like, so well, now it's got an even more sort of like obvious thing where the shocks, it creaks
Mhm.
and cracks. If I turn, it's like and today in the morning I went and stopped at one of those Latin cafeterias, but
Mhm.
as I was coming to get some empanadas and this and that, and as I was driving up into the parking lot, it was making the noise, and they're in Miami, they sit out front of the like cafeteria, and not unlike cafeterias you see everywhere, Europe, and where they sit and drink, but it is different in a way, because there's open windows where you purchase things over the window, and everybody's there. And I was approaching, I was like, oh crap, there were spaces for me to park right directly in front of the place, but I was ashamed of the loud creaking. It was so hard. It was like, so I decided to park a little bit. I actually walked back to the cafeteria because that's how embarrassing the sound is.
Time to get some new shocks for it, man. That'll eliminate a lot of it.
Yeah. So that's just an added, not to mention that like all the like the steering wheel has like, the what do you call it? The steer what do you call it when you put your on autopilot?
Cruise control.
It's got all the buttons for that.
Mhm.
And it's gotten to the point where the plastic has just crumbled away, and the lettering, because it's with the heat and stuff, so it's all melted or crumbled away and stuff. The center console is the plastic tabs that hold it together have broken off. So what I've done is I've taken bungee cords and I've strapped it around the center console through the back and underside, so it sits there. When I brake, the center console actually
moves.
It moves forward, and then I just go like this and pop back in. Boy.
We'll see. There's your next video. How to make a new custom console for a Ford Explorer.
Man, I could do that actually, but it's like maybe I'll have one 3D printed.
Yeah, I know a fella.
It could be printed in parts too, because it's such a big thing. So you could print in sections, and then you can
crazy glue it together,
or lock them, make them with locks and stuff, and build a whole console.
There you go. Out of about 15 different colors of plastic.
Yeah, it's better than what's going on now, dude.
Yeah, well, you can just get you some Krylon for plastic and then spray it all black and it's good.
Oh yeah,
Sand
solutions.
it, Bondo it. Ain't this an amazing age we're living in?
You know what? That's a good idea. Or I could just, you know what I could just do? I just thought of this because I mean,
Mhm.
we have a brain, so I could hold on to that center console, and I could take some of that great stuff expanding foam, and then I could just foam it all around, and then I'll have insulation to boot.
Well, yeah, it'll keep the hot cups hot and the cold cups cold.
Yeah, it's
Jeez.
a hot mess.
Yeah, I know. We're driving a 2004 Jeep Liberty that she bought brand new, in '04, obviously, and pulled it off the lot with, I want to say, 18 miles on it, and she probably put 8 of those miles on it in a test drive.
Yeah,
And it's just went over 230,000 miles on it. So it's 15 years old, going on 16. It's time to start looking for new wheels. And I tell you what, I really don't want to do this. I don't want another car payment. You know, we financed it. We paid it off 2 years early because I hate paying interest.
yeah.
And I just don't want another car payment. I really don't. The last new car she bought was a little Ford Focus that we bought, drove for about a year and a half, and sold. We paid cash for it, but I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. But I'm kind of choiceless. Me, I want an old pickup. I mean, I've been talking with our mutual buddy Doc Jared Hildebrand for about the last 6-7 months. We'll talk about old cars and look at this neat rig, and we both like obscure vehicles. We both like the oddballs, and we like the Ramblers and the old let's see, what's this, the old Studebakers and things like that, just oddball vehicles. And while it's not super, super, super oddball, I've been looking for another El Camino. I used to drive an El Camino years ago, and I should have never sold it. I really miss it bad. So I've been looking for another El Camino here lately because I need a pickup. And, I
That's the
can
best.
haul whatever I want,
Yeah,
but still it's not, super expensive, and they look cool.
they do.
So,
They do now. Looking back,
mhm,
back then it was like, okay, whatever.
mhm.
I mean, at least I looked at it and was like, okay, whatever. I mean,
Well, and this is one place where the Aussies really have it over us. They still make them down there, and they're super popular.
oh, they do.
Yeah, but they don't call them El Caminos. That down there, it's a Ute, short for utility, and they sell the heck. There's 5 or 6 companies that make them and sell them down there. And one of them is a GM product. Holden is a GM product, and they still make heck out of those suckers and sell them.
Do they gas guzzle like the old ones?
They can, especially if hot rod them like they like to do. A lot of people like to do. But, you can get them with a 6-cylinder or a V8. I prefer a V8, obviously, but I'm just an old school guy like that. Something simple, something that I can work on without a degree. I like to be able to change my own oil and do my own tune-ups. I don't like a lot of computer stuff. So,
I don't know if back in the day if it was me that purchased it and then gave it to my dad, or if it was my dad and I would drive it around. But at some point, my dad was driving, or I had bought. I don't remember the detail, but it was like one of those, I guess, Thunderbirds.
mhm,
You know, and I remember it from the outside. It looked so cool,
mhm.
but it was a piece of junk,
Yeah,
man. You would
yeah.
get into it, and like it had, the gear shift and the whole. It was just like you're in a bit. It was a heavy, over like it just you're pushing junk metal across the
Yeah.
freaking road is
So
what you're doing.
it must have been a mid to late 70s then, because that's about the time all of Detroit's cars were trash. They really were, from like 75 to like 85. They were just garbage.
Yeah, I don't remember the actual year, but I remember that. And then you'd get into it's just like it was a nightmare, dude.
Yeah,
It was a night.
I had a 1979 Cougar that I bought from a guy when I was stationed at Fort Campbell. I traded it in on a brand new Jeep pickup about a year before we got transferred over to Germany. But that Cougar was probably the biggest rolling piece of trash I ever owned. It really was bad. It would get you from point A to point B, but only just. And I mean, if you didn't even have to hit a pothole, if you just had a rough section of road, every panel on that thing vibrated.
Oh yeah, same story.
The parts didn't fit together. I mean, the dashboard, you'd have one panel of fake wood grain with the chrome strips on the top and bottom, and then you'd have a little gap, and then you'd have another panel of fake wood grain, and they would be offset from each other about an inch. They nothing lined up, nothing matched up. I mean, you're driving down the highway at 55 or 60 miles an hour, and the glove box door is doing this, just bouncing all over the place. And it's like, come on, man. Windows rattling and everything else. God, it was a piece of trash. It was really bad. They tightened it up again about the late 80s, I would say, 87, 88. They got better on their quality control. But there for a while, I mean, wow. Was your builder's tolerance 1.5 inches or what?
No, I remember I think I've told you this before, but my dad, he had like in the 80s, they started making things more square, the cars, but there was an extreme squareness to them.
Yep.
And he had like, I guess this goldish tan, I guess you'd call it like, I think it was a Chevy. I forget what exactly it was, but and like the back, sort of behind the back window on the side, it had texture on it. It's just really weird. It was like a good brand new car at the time, but still. And I started learning how to drive.
Yeah.
And he told me, "Come on, son. Fine, I'm gonna go teach you." And I get in the car as a passenger, and he drives me out to the expressway, and he stops on the shoulder. He says, "All right, son, scoot over," because it was straight over the seating or whatnot. And he walked around and okay, go ahead and drive. And I put my blinkers on, and I start turning the wheel. And it takes a while for the wheel as I'm turning it to actually turn. And now I'm on the road, and like I'm driving, and like you could move the steering wheel like 5 times left or right, and the car wouldn't turn. And like, Dad, I can't. And I'm driving down the road, and I said, Dad, this thing is not. I can't. This is not. I can't steer this thing. There was the play on it. I said, Dad, no. And then he said, okay, go ahead and park on the shoulder. And he got in, and so I couldn't learn on that car, dude. What was wrong with that thing, dude?
Worn out steering box. I mean,
and he was totally fine with it. He was like,
well, we were stationed over in Germany from 88 to 92, and the Europeans had it together. I mean, because over there, a vehicle is an investment. I mean, it's expensive to learn how to drive. It's expensive to get your license. They don't want everybody on the road because they've got a lot of people packed into smaller areas.
Yeah.
So it's expensive on purpose. But their quality control over there is so much better for it because it's such a huge investment. If your vehicle is a piece of garbage like ours were over here, that would never be even allowed on the road. Number one, they have real strict inspection criteria, real strict. So we got over there, and their vehicles, even a used car. I mean, the first thing we ever bought was a $400 Mercedes Benz, and it was worth every bit of $400. But that thing was the fit and finish was gorgeous on it. It was solid. It ran like crazy. I mean, that thing ran smooth. It was just an old, tired, ugly car.
Yeah.
You know, over here, gosh, you got panels falling off and everything else,
Oh yeah.
you know, and we're talking about, you know, a month after you bought it. So, but man.
Well, I've seen videos, those same ones that you talk about with the Russian and this and that, but I've typed in like gasoline or gas station explosions, and it'll take you to Europe. And just talking about the cars and stuff, I saw a couple of them where the guy, a big Russian guy, he's parked in an awkward way, and he'll come around on the back, back of the car. He'll lift the freaking car up, move it over
to get it closer.
To get it, yeah, and then get in and do what he's got to do. And I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah.
You've heard of like moms in a situation where the kid's caught under the car, having that instinct and that adrenaline. I don't know if you've heard those surreal stories where they'll lift the car.
Yeah, I have heard that. I've heard of that, but I've never seen anything like it or what have you.
I've never seen either. But like I'm saying, these guys can lift a car. I mean, they're tiny cars, but that's not the point.
Yeah. Well, but still, okay, so they only weigh 2,500 pounds instead of 4,000. That's still 2,500 pounds.
Yeah, dude. These guys are the ancestors of those barbarians that you see in like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
There's like, I don't know, how my ancestors survived throughout pre-recorded history, because these people are savages.
Yeah.
Like, I guess we were built for like farming and calm, serene mountain slopes and take it easy. And then these guys come around. I mean, all you have to do is give them a freaking like a war axe. They're savages.
Well, I don't know any Russians personally, but everything that I've seen in any of the videos that I've seen about Russia, from Russia or anything else, they're just surly people. They're just basically very surly people towards one another. And I've heard that anecdotally from other people. Learn how to read the signs. Don't ask any questions, because the answer is going to be no. Doesn't matter what you want. The answer is going to be no. So just don't talk to the people, read the sign.
But have you, I don't want to go off in this direction. I mean, maybe so, but have you seen, there's people, like, I'm not the tiniest person in the world, but I'm not like a giant. I'm kind of like an average sized person. And there's people out there that you look at them, and I've come across them here in Miami, that out of the blue, and they're just massive chunks of flesh material. And you're like, what the hell, dude? It's like David and Goliath and stuff. And it's like, what the heck went on in this situation, dude?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's an average norm, and then there's these savage things that occur.
People are people, man. There's always going to be somebody taller than you. There's always going to be somebody shorter than you. There's always going to be somebody bigger than you. There's always going to be somebody smaller than you. I mean,
I'm serious, but but every time I see and I don't know if it's because it's a male thing or whatever, but I see them and I'm automatically thinking of ways to topple them in case I run into the situation where I have to. How can I get this guy to freaking drop, with my inability to overtake him physically? How am I going to do this?
You're not gonna. That's why you got to learn to run. That's why we're not descended from a bunch of big fat Cape people that got eaten by saber-toothed tigers. We're descended from the itty bitty quick ones that made it back into the cave.
I think so too. Most people alive, they had to, like, during dinosaur attacks, are they the ones that went with lances and whatever? Mm-hmm. Or are they the ones that survived, the ones that went towards the caves and said, hey, Joe, yeah, listen, while Rufus over there is attacking that 50-foot dinosaur, let's haul ass. All right, you got it, man.
these berries look good. Let's try some of these.
You want to topple that big ass dinosaur? You want to grab some of these berries over here, Joe?
That's
Yeah,
it.
let's do the berries.
Yeah, I could go for some berries about now.
But it's an astonishing thing though, Mark. Really, that the physique of some people.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it's savagery in my opinion.
I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area in the 1960s, and the football team was the Oakland Raiders. Yeah, we had the San Francisco 49ers over there, but they were the folks over on the peninsula. We were East Bay folks. We had Oakland Coliseum just to the north of us. The Oakland Raiders was
Yeah.
the football team until the owner moved them down to LA, but that's another story. We had a couple of players come to our elementary school. I was in 6th grade, and this lineman's name was Ben Davidson. So we're looking at, oh my gosh, I was in 5th or 6th grade, so we're looking 1969, 70, 71, somewhere in that area. And Ben Davidson was a mountain with legs. He was a mobile mountain. The guy was just absolutely gigantic.
Yeah.
And here I am, this little kid, looking up at this guy. And it's like you go to look up, and he just kept going. He just kept going up and up and up. That was the biggest human being I've ever been next to in my life. He was gigantic, man. And ever since then, it's like, okay, I'm no longer surprised at how big a person can be.
There's just stock out there that's husky, I guess you could call.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, let's say that.
Yeah, and I can't help but think barbarian terms. You know what I'm saying? I just can't help but think that in those terms. I do have. There's one guy in my family that's super tall, and it's outside the norm of the average and stuff.
Right.
So I have you ever heard of the whole giant thing, the giants of old and whatnot? David and Goliath and this and that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole world of conspiracy that talks about that there were populations of giants, that you had your humans, and then you had your super tall people and stuff.
Well, that's all pretty subjective because when it comes to human evolution, because a lot of that is a nutritional thing. And it's like the average height in Europe, the average height back in the 14, 15, 1600s was about 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
And, we all hear that, well, Napoleon was short. Actually, he was 5'7", which was about an inch over the average. He was about an inch taller than average in France at the time. But as our nutrition got better and as our hygiene got better and everything, we have all average heights just keep increasing. I mean, you can look at Asia, certain parts of Asia, the average height has really gone much, much taller since they started importing beef and started eating more pork and things of that nature.
My dad used to say, because he came here when he was 18 years old, and in the 60s, right? And so when it's my turn and I come around and I exist, and he sees me growing up and stuff. And he used to always say a thing that used to make me, or it didn't make me laugh. It makes me laugh now. He'd say, yeah, because the Americans eat a lot of hamburgers and they all get huge. It's the hamburgers. Because I was growing, I'm taller than most of my family, except for that one guy that's huge. Right. And so the thought was, the going consensus was, at least for him, was it's in the hamburgers.
We eat beef. It's what's for dinner. And the reason we eat beef is because the West wasn't one on salads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tex, yeah. Can I have a tofu salad?
No,
You know,
is that pesto there, Tex?
I mean, that's not gonna cut
No,
it now, is it?
that's right. And then
I'd
now
like a yogurt there, Sam. Okay,
uh,
coming right
I
up, slides it down the bar.
I have a niece who isn't much. I mean, she'll eat meat, but she doesn't really like it, but she doesn't want to be a pain in the butt. And about a year after I got the smoker, everybody came over, I barbecued some stuff up, and she goes, "Well, do you do any?" And I got to use my favorite line. She says, "Well, don't you do any vegetarian cooking on that thing?"
Oh,
And I said, "Yes, everything I cook on it was a vegetarian." The family loved it. She didn't think it was funny, but yeah, what can you say? There's different tastes for everyone, but the whole point is that's a nutritional thing. You know, it's we have gotten taller since then. I mean, Admiral Nelson was 5'4". Napoleon was 5'6". Because nutrition and hygiene weren't all that good.
the the or they've not. I haven't, but I might type it in because I'm kind of fascinated by the idea. The armor for the knights from back in the Middle Ages and all that. Um, if people look at, they're tinier.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if that plays into what you're saying, but it's like smaller than what you would like today.
Yeah.
There's more of the savagery and size,
Mm-hmm.
but they
But
were smaller.
yeah, well, there were people over 6 feet tall, of course. There is always gonna be, because
Yeah,
there's also genetics that has to do, but that's why it's an average. That was about in the middle was about 5'5". But and there's exception to every rule. There was one king of Bavaria, or was it Prussia? I don't remember. One or the other. He was absolutely obsessed with tall soldiers, and he had one regiment that you had to be over 6 foot tall to be a member of that regiment. And he was hiring people from other countries. I mean, he had Brits, he had Scots, he had French, he had Eastern Europeans from Lithuania and what have you. Anybody that was over 6 foot tall. And he got to the point to where he started culling. It was,
yeah.
okay, you're 6'1" and you're 6 foot, you're out. You go back to that other regiment over there.
Oh
But
wow.
he was just obsessed with tall soldiers. But he himself was 5'3".
Hmm.
So, he just thought that looked impressive as hell.
Well,
you know
yeah.
and it was one of his favorite things to do, was to sit up in his bed and have those soldiers parade through his bedroom in one door and out the other, just so he could watch him march
He
by.
was such a
you know
twisted.
he was a twisted individual, but it's good to be the king. So, what can you say?
Well, also I've heard it said that Native Americans are, or generally either were or are. I don't know, because I haven't personally seen that like in modern times. But at some point, or at least in some tribes, they were exceptionally tall, as opposed to the European settlers.
I,
I've heard this.
I think that's a regional thing more than anything else. I'm out here out west, in the Pacific Northwest, they were taller and thinner. Then down towards the middle of the West, I know the Shoshones and not the Shoshones, excuse me, the Modocs tended to be shorter and heavier, stockier,
Mhm.
more muscular. And some of the northern nations up around Washington, along the Columbia River, Washington, Oregon border, they were taller and thinner than like the Modocs or the Paiutes, which were also a little bit shorter and stockier. So I don't know. I don't know if it's regional. I don't know if it's just genetic or what.
It's probably all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? A little bit of all of
Yeah.
that.
But it same can be said for any other peoples. I mean, Scots tend to be a little bit taller on average than Brits, and Irish. I don't know why that is, but it is the case. And the same for Swedes and Norwegians. They tend to be a little bit taller as well.
And how about
On average.
Germans?
Germans run the gamut, man. There really is no, I don't know about average height, but I do know that all of them have been increasing since about the mid 1800s. Our average height has gone up.
Yeah, it's just the amount of
right
food availability and
Yeah.
medicine, and
right.
it's all contributed. Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. And there are far many more people over 6 feet tall now than there were back just in the 1860s, 1870 time frame. And it's just simply because of nutrition. We're all eating better.
I think we're eating, well, I can't speak for everybody, but in some cases, we're eating for the amount of food that we consume, or that let's say I consume, even though it's not, I'm not going to exaggerate here, but there's plenty, even within, it's, whereas before, probably not so much.
Well, we don't have to work for our food anymore. I mean, we do in the abstract. Yes, we have to work to get the money to buy the food, but we can eat 24/7.
Yeah.
We're not worried about where our next meal is coming from. And we have so many decisions and choices to make. We usually make the wrong one.
And they still can't give you hot fries at the drive-through window. It's just
never go to the drive-through. Never go to the drive-through. The only thing they give you at the drive-through is the stuff they don't have the guts to serve you face to face. Never go to the drive-through. I walk in, stand there, and check the order. When they hand it to me, I check the order.
I was at Burger King recently, and I said, "Oh, I'd like the Whopper Junior. Would you like cheese?" I said, "Sure, I'd like cheese." "Would you like bacon?" I said, "You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna let's do it.
Live a little.
Add bacon. Would you like a dessert?" "No, I'm good. I come up to the thing, pay, and I'm down the road. I get here, open up my meal, got the fries, the whole thing. Open up the freaking Whopper Junior. It's got no bacon on it, dude. They had one simple task to perform.
Yeah. And that's why I check the order right there. That's why I don't use the drive-through. I have gotten the wrong order too many times. I haven't used a drive-through and I don't know how long. I go inside. Now it's fine. I got nothing but time.
Now here's the thing though. I sat down, opened that up, and saw that there was no bacon, and I totally thought for one split second, that's freaking it. I grabbed the receipt and looked at the receipt and stuff. I'm gonna go back. No, I'm not gonna go back there. Nothing. Yeah. Because it's like useless. Now, if I would have come back, opened up that package with the burger in it, and found 2 buns, a slice of cheese, and no meat, I would have blown my top.
Yep.
Because it's the meat. It's the meat.
Yeah, that's the whole reason for eating it.
Yeah. Everything else is just, wrapping it in a nice little, but no,
it's
dude.
Presentation, yes, exactly.
If you pay for bacon, you want bacon.
Of course.
So dude.
Yeah. And I got to say, Taco Bell was the worst offender of the bunch, because to me, Taco Bell is, I know they have meal deals and I know you can just go get this number combination or that number combination, but I don't look at it that way. To me, Taco Bell is all a la carte, man. I go in and I'll order this many tacos, this many burritos if I'm in the mood for burritos, and I'll get this quesadilla and maybe I'll try this and maybe I'll try that. It's always off the individual menu. So as a consequence, I'll spend $20 on me because I want to try stuff, you know. And which is ridiculous because it all tastes the same. It's a tortilla, it's meat, it's lettuce, it's onion, it's tomato, it's cheese.
Yeah.
It's just, now you're just haggling over what shape do you want it in, know? But anyway, but yeah, I will order a burrito and a taco and get home and find out that I've got nachos, and a quesadilla. That is not what I ordered. That's not even remotely close to what I ordered. It tastes exactly the same, but it's not what I ordered. I want my
Yeah.
tortilla curved, not flat. What's this tostita thing or tostada thing?
Yeah.
So I quit going to the drive-through because of Taco Bell.
Holy smokes.
And they say, Mark, yes. And I walk up and I open up the bag and I look through and they see that. And it's like, okay, we got to make sure we get his order right because he's not going to move until he's sure that it's right. And I
Well,
don't.
yeah, man, because it's too much. It's too much, and it's not like it's like back in the day. I remember it was like 2 something, 3 for like a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? I'm
Yeah.
kind of stuck in that time, but now it's like $5-6,
Oh,
So
it's more than that. I mean, I remember when Taco Bell had tacos, burritos, beans with sauce and cheese,
yeah,
and drinks, and that was about it. There wasn't much else other than that. And the burritos were 35 cents and the tacos were a quarter.
yeah.
And that was your choices. But, I was 7. So, we're looking at 1968.
Well,
And, McDonald's used to advertise this, as a matter of fact. I can remember this. You could go to McDonald's, get a hamburger, French fries, and a drink, and change back from your dollar. That was one of their big advertising things.
that was awesome.
Change back from a dollar. So,
I mean, so I'll just say that, as far as Taco Bell is concerned, they're kind of brilliant if you think about it, because some executive somewhere, they said, all right, bring me all the materials that we use for the taco burrito and whatnot, and I want you to lay them out on display here.
mm-hmm.
What can we do with these same materials to create 5 to 10 new products that taste just the same but look different
per week?
per week. And
then,
that's what they did.
But it's done in the guise of giving you choices. You got the flat tortilla, that's the tostada.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take that, not add anything else to it, but let's wrap that up in a flour tortilla and put it in like what are those presses they use for pants at the dry cleaners, and we call it a crunch wrap.
Yeah.
It's a tostada in a flour tortilla, but they jack up the price 50 cents. There you go.
Oh yeah. And their salsas, I do not like their salsas.
I like their mild sauce.
It's just like the authentic kind of sort of Mexican. It's got little chunky tomatoes, and there's a sort of like different spice to it. This spice that they use in their little sauce is more like paprika or something like that, dude.
Different chilies, but they have different levels of heat if you want. Now, it's, to me, the mild sauce is a taco sauce. I put it on there for the extra flavor. You want hot sauce? I got Mexican hot sauce in a bottle in the fridge. But you don't go to Taco Bell to eat Mexican food.
Right.
That's number one thing that living on the West Coast. If you want Mexican food, what you want to do is you want to go drive your car close to the neighborhood and take a taxi to the little hole in the wall where it's like where you've got mama making the tortillas back over there by hand in a neighborhood you don't feel safe in. But you are going to get good Mexican food.
Warming the tortillas.
Oh man, you go order you a carne asada plate, and oh my God, I've died and gone to heaven. So much fantastic stuff.
See, we don't have a lot of the Mexican stuff here in my
right. Well, why would you?
Well, but we do have some, but you'd have to drive down south to Homestead, and we have like nationwide brand chains that are pretty, I don't want to say authentic, but they like, it feels like you're at a place, right, that does the proper thing. But we do have Central and South American food joints, and there's one that's like called Central American, just down the road. It used to be a movie theater called the Ambassador 6 or 5. I used to go watch movies there. They transformed it into a Central American. Dude, they have a sampler platter that's mind blowing. They
Yep.
have like the, what do you call it? The pork rinds and chicharrones and
Uh-huh.
but it's a sampler platter, dude. And they give
Yeah.
you salsas and freaking guacamole, and you take that home with just everything. It's good stuff.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not Mexican, but it has it's a
But
nice
it's not
variation.
corporate American version of Mexican either.
Yeah,
Mexican food does there are no crispy, you won't find crispy taco shells in real Mexican food.
no, it's just that tortilla.
It's two corn tortillas, street taco style, and that's what I'm talking about. And, oh man, you can't eat my next door neighbor. In some ways I'm happy he moved, and in some ways I'm sad that he moved. His whole family, they lived there. He immigrated up here from Mexico, about 40 years ago, something like that. And they used to have cookouts in their backyard. And the smell coming from that backyard would just drive me nuts. And I'm like, oh man, you got not cooking out there again, are you? And he'd be like, yeah, we sure are. I'm like, you're killing me here. And he's like, yeah, I know we are. And then after dinner was over, Mama would bring us over a little care package every once in a while. But oh man, it's some of the best food in the world. But then then I got the smoker and I started driving him crazy with pulled pork and then a brisket and things like that. So I'd give him a little care package every once in a while too.
Well,
But
that's a good thing. Yeah.
he has since, I don't know if he sold the house or if they just moved and he's renting it out now. And the new neighbors, I don't know them at all. They're working constantly. So, but they don't have cookouts in the backyard, and that may be a good thing. So
When I visited Mexico, I went down to Tijuana and kept going and all that. We stopped at a place, I don't know even where it was, but it was on the side of a cliff, and it was like a little hotel / motel building on the side of a cliff, and then you have the beach and whatnot. It was beautiful. So foreign to me because we live on flat land.
Yeah.
And everywhere you went in this place, there was beautiful vistas. And that was such such a thing for me. Just beautiful. I love the West Coast, really, the landscape and all that. And there was a little sort of cafeteria type thing on the bottom that we'd go around, and the lady would be selling like for $1 little tacos, little wraps. It's a tortilla, and then she'd stuff it with whatever, and here you go. And I decided to go for the fish tacos. And you'd order as you go. So people would sit around eating, and you'd order. And dude, I bit into that. It's like a little soft taco with fish, little chunks of fish in there. And it was so freaking fantastic. I could never forget it. When I was back here in Miami, I ended up at a place called Dave and Buster's, which I don't know if you guys have up there.
We don't have one here, but I know what they are.
So it's like an all-in-one arcade / restaurant, pool hall, and various, different activities and stuff. It's like a little family.
Chuck E. Cheese for grown-ups.
It's Chuck E. Cheese for grown-ups. They'll have a center bar with, just full-on bar, and then they'll have the restaurant seats. And one day I was in there years and years ago, and here at the mall, and I looked at the menu and I saw fish tacos, and I said, they can't be as good as the ones over there, but screw it, we're going to order them. And dude, they were so awesome. Dave and Buster's, I made it a habit to go once a week to Dave and Buster's and eat tacos, fish tacos. They were so freaking good. Yep. And then they took it off the menu. I was like, screw this.
Oh man. That sucks. Yeah.
But boy, those fish tacos were good.
It depends on the kind of fish that they use. I mean, you can say fish tacos if it's something like a cod or a sole. It's going to be real mild. My favorite is with salmon, grilled salmon or smoked salmon, one or the other. Of course, I'm a Pacific Northwesterner. You got to love salmon and trout to be from up here, I think. It's almost a law. I'm not sure. But, yeah, occasionally. I haven't done it in quite a while. I need to. I need to fire up the smoker and cook some salmon or some trout and make tacos out of that. But God, I love it. And to be honest with you, there's only one or two places where we go to get Mexican food here in this valley. The rest of the time, Linda makes it herself. You can't grow up in Southern California without learning to make a little bit of Mexican food anyway. So Linda makes it herself. So I get better quality Mexican food at home from a girl who's English and Welsh than I do, downtown at like Taco Bell or something like that. Because again, you're not eating Mexican food at Taco Bell.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, just ain't happening. So
make a run for south of the border.
I'm telling you, a serious run for the real south of the border. And you know what? I've heard from two people, and I'm going to get back on this because you got me wanting one. Between you and Javi, you got me wanting to try a Cubano.
Oh, yeah.
Sandwich.
Cuban sandwich.
Right. And I have found two places here locally that have it on the menu. But I haven't tried them yet because I know it's not going to be the real deal.
Well, who knows? who knows? My favorite of the Cuban sandwiches, and everybody's got there's variations, but it's the midnight sandwich, and I just liked it as a kid. Like one day, my grandmother, we were doing shopping. I was a little kid, and we walked into this cafeteria down in Little Havana, and she ordered for me a sandwich, and it was the midnight sandwich. Midnight because I don't know, they slice, so it's a long sandwich. They slice it, they cut it in half, but on an angle.
Right.
And so it's like a half moon, let's say,
Yeah.
And so they something or other, it's because of that. And it's got, the cheese, ham, pork, and all the other stuff. It's really good. And they press it on one of those presses. So it sort of skins over the bread on the bottom and top. So it's crunchy and yet soft on the inside. And that's always been, I always order that one because it's so darn good, dude.
Damn. Now you got me wanting a sandwich, and I just ate dinner. So now you got me wanting a sandwich again. I could live off of sandwiches. That's one of my absolute favorite foods is some sort of a sandwich. And, I could go anywhere from, just as simple as bologna and cheese up to a big, whatever, a Reuben or a Monte Cristo or something like that.
My dad had a habit of every now and then bringing home some sort of kitchen electronic thing because he wanted to try a new thing back in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
And like one time he brought, he brought the blender one time, the juicer or whatever, and forced everybody to drink the horrible mixture.
Yeah.
and he had no problem throwing in all sorts of vegetables and together that made no sense. And yet, but one time he brought those, remember those, I don't know what you call them, but it would cook, like it would press the white bread and it would form like a little sealed sandwich, and you'd have hot piping like ham, whatever you wanted to put in it, but it would sort of like almost seal it, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
And you'd bite it. Boy, those were good.
Yep. You can still get, we never had anything electronic that made those, but you can get a pie iron, they call them, for out at the campfire. And we prefer the cast iron ones. You can get cast aluminum ones too, but you open it up. It's like a big iron. Imagine a miniature waffle iron without all the ridges. Okay. And you open it up and you lay in a bread and whatever fillings you want, ham, turkey, roast beef, whatever, cheese, and whatever fixing you want. Put another piece of bread on it. Then you close this iron up, and they have a real long handle. You close a little bail at the end. You put them on the campfire and toast them that way.
Man, that sounds good.
They are fantastic, man. They are fantastic. I love it. Have you ever heard of or had a Monte Cristo sandwich?
No.
Some people call it a French toast sandwich.
Okay.
It's basically, it's the bread. Then you put ham and cheese on it. another piece of bread. Then you cut it in half, dip both of those halves in an egg and milk mixture,
Hmm.
then fry it so that everything heats up and the bread toasts up and everything. God, they're good.
Wow.
I love it. It's fantastic. See, I love sandwiches, man. I can go all over the place with this.
I'm gonna have to try that, dude.
It's called a Monte Cristo sandwich. You can look them up on Google. They got all kinds of recipes for them. They're fantastic.
This is the automotive slash stop for a meal episode. What do you think?
Yeah, and we never even got into the subject that I was going to talk about, so I'll just put it on reserve and save it for later. Which is cool because I mean we've got something to back stuff with.
Well,
But
so we do have a website.
yes, we do.
It's called trampledunderfootpodcast.com. And there you can catch previous episodes by pressing the Wayback Machine button. And yeah, we have a lot of interesting conversations. And frankly, I'll just add this one little bit. We go into crazy different directions that we ourselves don't. We're always astonished at where the heck we end.
And this being one of them, because I wasn't even thinking about anything like this when we started talking, but that's quite all right. Yeah, and Trampled Underfoot Podcast.com is sponsored by the man himself, Steve Nealon, over at Harneal Media, the webmaster, web designer for the stars. Check him out over at harnealmedia.com. We're also on Facebook, aren't we?
Yeah, we're also on Facebook. I just wanted to say that for some reason, the way your delivery reminded me. Do you remember back in the day, lifestyles of the rich and famous? Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, you have when you're doing your announcer voice, you have to put a dramatic pause in there so you're not throwing everything all at once. You have to pause, take a breath, a small breath so you don't run out of air and you can just keep talking forever while you're on a roll. You should know him, Steve.
So, yeah, we have a Facebook page, and it's Trampled Underfoot Podcast on Facebook. You could go over there and check out the posts that we post. I think that we have one that I have to investigate and post over there, which is that car crash in Miami that we spoke of earlier,
Okay.
because I think that folks will find it interesting. But in past episodes, we've mentioned things, and we'll actually add links over there, so it's kind of interesting to do that. And plus, give us a follow there and kind of share it around. I mean, honestly, just share it around. Is it going to kill you? I don't know. Maybe not.
And you know somebody who needs to hear us.
Yeah.
You know somebody. You going, man, you know what? Such and such would love this. These guys would. These guys are right up his alley. Share us with a friend.
Yeah. And of course, we're on Spreaker, and that's Spreaker.com, Trampled Underfoot Podcast. And you can catch our episodes every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern and
6:30
Pacific time.
That's right. Tuesday nights right here on the mighty YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and look for Trampled Underfoot Podcast.
Yeah. I think we did ourselves a good little. We've been good. What is it, like 5 episodes in like one day?
Yeah, I want to say thanks to everybody for being so patient with us. What happened this over the last 8 days was we suddenly went, oh no, we didn't do a Halloween episode. We should have done a Halloween episode. So we decided, well, the heck with it. Let's go ahead and go live and do a Halloween episode. But then when we did the Halloween episode, we didn't have, because we put it out on Halloween, we didn't have a podcast for our normal release day, Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we did another one for that. And it just so happened that went live this morning, and now here we are. So folks have been trampled underfoot this week. This is like the 5th show we've done, I think, in the last 7 days. It just seems like it. But now we're back on our regular schedule. So we usually record live on Tuesdays.
That's
but,
right.
if you follow us on YouTube then click that subscribe to our channel, then click that little notification bell. You'll get a notification when we go live. Then you won't be in the dark
That's it.
like us.
That's right.
Okay. Thanks very much, folks. And y'all have a good weekend or a good week. It's only Tuesday, Mark.
Peace.
Take care.